Hey guys, welcome back to HOA Karen Stories. In this video, a homeowner association Karen claimed my pool violates HOA guidelines and insists I must follow the HOA rules despite not being a member. She ended up draining my pool to teach me a lesson, thinking I would not fight back. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. And the first one is titled, HOA Karen drained my pool, claims I'm violating federal law. Have any of you owned or seen a dog or other pet that just assumed everything belonged to them? Like, I have a cat that I think was convinced the only reason my keyboard existed was just for her to lay on. With an animal, it can be cute, but I ran into a Karen that seemed to have the same confusion as an animal. Karen was the president of the local HOA, and she seemed to be under the impression the entire neighborhood existed especially for her. The thing is, I never opted into the HOA when I moved here, and it's not mandatory to be a part of it. Sadly, Karen seemed to think that my property existed just for her, similar to my cat analogy before. Unlike my cat who I can just pick up and put somewhere else, Karen was a little harder to deal with. Plus, I think just physically moving a person would be considered assault. She had a reason for hating my property, and it was no more complex than it not meeting her very dull standards. The HOA had a ton of rules that came directly from Karen regarding what people's homes and yards could look like. I cannot list them all here, but they all boil down to the same thing. She wanted their homes to be boring. I saw people get fined for their sidewalk tiles being too colorful and another for having a bird fountain. My backyard has an in-ground swimming pool that everybody else seems to think looks cool. Karen, though, sees it as a problem, and since I own it, I guess she considers me a problem as well. In the past, she has made some minor comments about the pool being dangerous or not fitting in. I didn't think she would take action until she did. A mistake on my part for thinking a Karen would just let something go. She started sending me emails and even left an unofficial note on my door that she proudly signed, all of which saying that I had to bring my property into HOA compliance, following it by saying to do that I needed to get rid of my pool. I ignored almost everything aside from one email back saying no and that I didn't need to do a damn thing, she said, since I was not part of the HOA. An email she never responded back to. I got more letters that honestly I don't know if they were officially from the HOA or she just did a better job writing letters. I guess harassing people gives you a lot of practice. Karen does strike me as the type of child that was forced to write lines a lot from getting in trouble. I ignored the letters and even the posts on the neighborhood Facebook page, not calling me out by name but talking about the horrible side of a pool. One day I came home from work and it was a horribly humid and hot day. I work in an office, I need to wear a suit, so the small amount of time outside was killer, and by the time I got home, I was sweating like a pig. I got my bathing suit on, went outside to my pool, and it was empty. Yeah, it was hot, but not evaporate an entire pool level of hot. It has clearly been drained. I wished at that moment that I had cameras so I could have seen what was going on. Hindsight is 20/20, and I felt like a total tool that I hadn't thought of getting cameras when I knew there was a Karen that hated me specifically. Instead, I did the only other option I could think of, which was to go and ask my neighbors if they had seen anything. When I got to the woman that lives to the left of me, she did not even give me a chance to say hello before she just started going off. Neighbor, oh good, you're back. She was in your yard and I told her that she shouldn't be, but she drained your entire pool. This woman was known to be a little bit of a hysterical person, but once she calmed down a bit, I got the full story. So Karen was the one that drained my pool, and I just also want to mention right now that she did not do it correctly either. I don't know how she did it, but she caused some serious damage caused by her amateur hour actions. I wanted to call the police and basically have Karen arrested for sneaking onto my property and damaging my pool. I mean, I did call them, but they were not able to arrest her based on a single eyewitness and no evidence that it was actually Karen. They could file a report, but basically told me that was as far as they could take it, and the only thing I could do was take her to civil court for damages, plus get cameras in case she trespassed on my property again. I will get back to that civil suit later, but first I was not waiting and instead going right to Karen and getting in her face for what she did. On paper, it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but as a mere human with complex emotions, it was what I did when I knew she couldn't get arrested. Me, I know you drained my pool no matter what you say. Big mistake. Karen, I won't deny it to you. that pool was a problem to the safety of the community. Do you know how many people drown in pools every year? Me, just cut the crap. It's in my fenced-in yard and covered. Nobody's breaking in, swimming and drowning. You just cannot stand that I have it. Or you just cannot stand the fact that I'm not in the HOA and don't need to listen to you. And to those wondering how she got into my fenced-in yard, by the way, I'll admit that it's not hard with a ladder to get over and open the latch. Karen, the HOA has my back. I'm protected by federal safety codes. You're lucky that I drained it to protect everybody. I just could not deal with speaking to Karen anymore. I might have punched her right in the face otherwise. I did have several more emails with both her and the HOA. Her flat out admitting that she had done it, and from the rest of the HOA telling me she acted independently and I could not sue them on anything that she had done. Don't know if they were just covering their own asses or not, but either way, she could not hide behind the HOA or their lawyers. I knew that any criminal charges against her would be for trespassing probably and not really lead to much, but I sent the police the emails as proof that she trespassed and drained my pool. They would deal with that end of things and I would deal with the civil matters. The first thing I did was dig through property records just to have solid proof that I was not part of the HOA. I mean, I knew it before, but double checking is always safe. I also pulled all the county ordinances and rules as well as the HOA rules just to see if I could find one that Karen had broken anything. Then I got a lawyer and started filing my civil suit against her. I was asking for the damage she caused to my pool, the cost to not just fix but refill it, legal fees and emotional damage. Mentally enter the emotional damage meme here. I knew with all the evidence that I had against her, including her own admission to doing it, I was not gonna have a problem. I even made sure to have my pool inspected by a professional to make sure my damage claims were accurate in both cost and it being caused by improper draining. I expected her to come into court with a bunch of lies, that I fabricated the emails or was picking on her or some other wild thing. Honestly, that probably would have made for a cooler Karen story to tell everybody. Instead, she started defending her actions and trying to convince the judge that my pool went against the HOA and was breaking federal law. No federal laws that she brought applied since all of them were about public pools. Again, I had proof that I was not in the HOA and that my pool followed all actual legal compliance. Side note, but I need to ask if I'm the only person that just loves when Karens narc on themselves. I just love how often they come in so confidently that we don't even need to try. They just tell on themselves and are proud of it. The hubris on Karens is just something crazy that I wish we could study. She was forced to pay me for the pool repairs and the legal fees. Not enough proof for emotional damage, but we didn't expect that one to work out anyway. Karen was furious about it. I could hear her asking her lawyer how to go above the judge's ruling, which she couldn't. But her paying me back for everything and getting my pool fixed is not the good revenge of this story. I knew that Karen had a shed in her yard that it was big, just like her mouth, because she never shut up about it. She called it her she-shed, and I guess it was similar to a man cave. With how she was bragging about the size, I was thinking that it might be too big for what the county allowed. I was looking for revenge, I'll be totally honest. I reported her to court enforcement and it turned out I was right. And it was too big, so she had to get rid of it. It was like she was forced to get rid of her own evil little lair. After losing thousands of dollars in court, being outed as breaking the rules that she is so harsh to enforce, and still waiting to see what happens to her with her criminal charges, the HOA and people kind of had enough of her. The next board election was a few months later, and even though at that point she had settled all her court issues, no prison time, they wanted her out. She was voted out fair and square, so she couldn't even fight it. I had enough money left over to make myself a nice addition to the pool that I loved, but I knew that Karen would hate. Underwater color changing lights, not obnoxious enough to annoy any normal person, but enough that I knew Karen would see it and be seething. Another thing that I got a lot of compliments on too, since I'm not in the HOA and I don't go to meetings, I don't really know the state of the current HOA, but rumors though claim they are planning to rewrite the entire bylaws and make some changes, especially to the ones that Karen had created. Fingers crossed that in the future, other people can have homes that are not boring for no good reason. By the way, I'm not pro like total anarchy, but I don't think a bird feeder or some color is gonna cause total mayhem and destruction. Unlike a lot of people that want their local Karen gone, I actually hope she sticks around for a while. And by the way guys, I'm curious, do you have any local Karens in your neighborhood or town? Let me know about them in the comments, and by the way, while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video and post some star emojis if you wanna support me. To see the neighborhood change in a way that she didn't want and get to watch her squirm and be angry, but with zero power. And yes, I did install cameras to anybody wondering, so if she tries to come after me again, I'll be ready. I kept my lawyer's number after all. And the next one is an awesome malicious compliance story that is titled "Coworkers and Management Got What They Asked For Because It Is in the Agreement." And it was posted by user Trash LeBlanc. So this is currently taking place in a casino in a province in Canada I work at, and it's a bit multifaceted, so I'll apologize for the long read. So to start off, we are technically government employees. Don't ask me why, but we are also union. Yeah, I'm a literal bartender in a restaurant where everyone is a unionized government employee. You can see where this is probably going or what kind of environment this has engendered. So first off, the employees, there are 3 FT bartenders. As a person who has bartended or managed bars off and on for decades, and we actually get hosed. Like, I've never even made so little money working in the service industry, but we have a pension and benefits, and that's pretty choice. We consistently work our asses off while we watch our floor, counting their hundreds of dollars at the end of a shift, while we only make what happens directly at our bar. So the servers are mandated to tip out 2% of drink sales only. Regularly, they ignorantly throw dimes across the table at us and make comments about, "Oh, it was only 50 cents, but I rounded it up to $1 because you earned it." Yeah, comments like this happens on the regular. The rub is, because of the CBA with the union, bartenders are not allowed to serve tables, and the servers constantly remind us of this, and here is where it gets bad. They expect the bartenders to also run their food, clean and clear their tables, and still only tip to the literal penny. This is one aspect. Now, as for management, we have numerous times had conversations with management, as our servers constantly abandon their tables, go outside to smoke, hang out on their phones, and generally do the barest of minimums, but because they are not on the floor, we have to be. We are mandated and guaranteed 50-minute breaks twice a shift and one 30-minute one, which we never get. This is without mentioning once that management refuses to hire any new bartenders due to budgetary constraints. We've spoken to management numerous times, and all we get told is that the servers have the floor and that we can file a grievance with the union. Cue the malicious compliance, and it is so good. So myself and the other 2 bartenders sat down with our union reps and hammered out the exact parameters of our jobs, management duties and obligations, and that of our floor. We got everything highlighted, and we now have laminated cardstock behind the bar with the printed and highlighted aspects of our jobs, our job parameters, and our job guarantees. A few weeks ago, we 3 started every shift the same way. Servers would regularly just walk behind the bar to get drinks for themselves or their clients. "Sorry, you're not bartenders, you cannot come behind the bar." What? Yep, sorry, it's in the CBA, we cannot take tables, you cannot serve drinks, we will get to it as soon as we can. Servers now have to wait on us to pour their drinks, pop, water, beer, or even get them ice. That is step 1. We now officially take our 15 seconds and our 30-minute breaks. As such, any and all drink service stops. Here's the best part though, as such, management, who is otherwise completely useless, chatting with friends or hiding in their offices, now have no choice but to come down and man the bar while we do so. They have to make drinks, stock the bar, which we ensure is needing to be done, and put away, polish our glassware. This is important as we have very specific criteria for our house drinks and what type of vessels they get poured in. This has been amusing to watch, but we enjoy our breaks and I'm catching up on some reading. It's only been a few weeks, but the servers seem to be getting it, and all of a sudden there are 2 new bartenders in training on the schedule and 2 more apparently being hired. Maybe this malicious compliance stuff does work. By the way, just to clarify some things, I need to fill in some gaps here from the comments section. Number 1, management runs on partial P&L bonus structures. For those that don't know, that is profit and loss. The less they spend while maintaining a baseline of profitability, the more money they make. This means we regularly run out of glassware, etc. Also, why we are frequently short-staffed. Number 2, management is very questionable at this job. I've had in my past been bar manager at 3 different locations, 2 nightclubs and a speakeasy, and watching my bar run out of things like triple sec, garnish and vodka, yes really, is beyond insane to me. Number 3, the upper management has a very weird nepotism feel to it. Every manager below the GM is a former coworker or friend of the GM from other locations they've worked at, drinking buddies and generally people with no actual experience in in the field. Number 4. The reviews of this place are atrocious. The only good ones seen recently are fake reviews written by the supervisors hired, the managers hired, under fake names, or generally come from direct bar service. I don't mean to dump on the floor or servers because they do work hard, but the bar is the only staff ever on the floor from start to finish and the first point of contact at the door because we regularly don't have a host or hostess. Number 5. To add, our oldest bartender has been there 7 years and is around 60-ish years old. He holds or has held a supervisory position and was the first and last point of contact for a lot of clients and regulars. We have very similar mindsets and frequently leave the bar to address issues and then try to correct them, above and beyond our scope of duties, which is why the bartenders there are seen so favorably. Number 6 again, the floor does work their butts off. I'll never be an us versus them person, no serving position is easy, but this venue has a floor staff full of people that regularly walk off for smoke breaks, sit in the back on their phones and who generally ignore their clients. Because of the nature of the business, the floor on slow nights will still make $150 regardless of good service or not, so they are not the most motivated. Case in point is one table who just last night waited almost 20 minutes just to pay their bill because their servers were outside smoking and on the phone. Number 7. This is my first unionized position in the service industry, and in the province of BC, Canada is governed by the BCGEU or the BC General Employees Union. I've never been in a position like this, and while being the newest person took some time to rope in the other 2 long-term bartenders to actually do something about the working conditions. All of our new hires behind the bar will be notified of their rights and will not be fed to the wolves. It's not how I or we operate. Number 8. If the job sucks, it's time to dip, and yes, this is a stop in my life that's currently necessary. I own a business but have a kid, and this job offers me a pension and quality employer-paid benefits. I have 2 years of school left, and while I'm in my early 40s, having the stability for myself and my kid while having their braces and my vision/prescriptions covered is a nice little safety net. The next one is titled, Domino's driver stole our package, so we got her fired and arrested. This happened to us a few nights ago. We were out and about running errands and were coming home. So we got a notification on our Ring doorbell and we were a couple blocks from home and just assumed it was another car passing our house. When we got to our street, there is a Domino's Jeep parked in front of our house and the driver was getting into the driver's side and leaving. We just assumed she was delivering pizza to a neighbor because we had just gotten food. So if you were to watch the video at the very end, you can actually see our car coming up the road. We grabbed the groceries and I get to the front door and realized the package we got notified was delivered was not at our door. I told hubby about it and he said, "What if Domino's took it?" We reviewed our Ring doorbell and sure enough, in the video that is included, you see the Domino's delivery woman stealing a package. This package contained a heater for our home. Most of our heaters broke last year when we first moved into our house and we are just getting to replacing them for this winter. We needed to stay warm, especially with me pregnant this winter. We could have just let it go and Amazon could get us another one since it was stolen, but we were pissed that we literally saw the thief drive away and thought that she could get away with our property. Also, my hormones are off the charts and I was furious. Hubby calls the police while I go over to the closest Domino's that delivers to us in our neighborhood. I show them the video and they confirm that she is an employee and currently on shift. And the supervisor at the store told me that he would contact his manager and that the manager would get back to me as soon as they could with an update. Glad that they didn't let me stay at the store, I would have torn her to shreds. To spare you all of the details, I would just sum up. We had a lot of back and forth between us and the manager, us and the cops, and the manager and the cops. The video was shown and shared to the manager and cops, so they had the proof in their pockets. They caught her while she was on delivery and arrested her, and they brought back our package. So it ended up being a very happy ending, and I'm forever grateful for that Domino's store and their workers for helping us and the awesome police department to get our package back and catching a thief. I in no way blame their store for what happened, I blame the person who decided to do what she did. Now she is in jail for trying to steal our literal warmth this winter. The cop who brought our package back did not give us any details about the woman, but said that she admitted to it, and I don't see how she could deny it when it's in her backseat and we have her on video literally looking into the camera. But we are looking at the arrest reports for the next couple days to see if we can find her name. And yes, we did get free pizza, even though I told the manager that was not necessary because he helped so much and we got our package back, but he insisted. And the next one is titled, "Try to run me off the road and nearly kill me? I've got your number." So, prologue. After driving for a decade and a half, privately and later professionally, yesterday was the first time I experienced a commercial truck trying to run me off the road. I was passing another truck when this idiot ran up right behind me to the point that I couldn't see anything behind me but their grille. If I had any sort of sudden mechanical problem or hit some debris in the road, that tractor would have eaten my little car in the blink of an eye. So that was irritating, but I overtook the truck to my right and merged once I left them enough room to follow me safely, the exact opposite of what the other a-hole was doing, and apparently me not cutting off the person I was passing as soon as I could was a mortal offense to this snowflake. They floored it, and once they were level with me, they swerved into my lane. I mean, they swerved into my lane almost all the way across. I had to dive into the shoulder to keep from being crushed. F anyone who thinks this is in any way okay. They could have killed not only me, but they could have caused a pileup with multiple trucks as well as passenger cars. I was furious and I noted the company name and description of the rig, but I knew that for the authorities to have anything usable, I had to get the info on the tractor. I gritted my teeth, dropped the gears and risked pulling ahead of the truck again so I could catch the license plate. After I got it, I saw a sign for an upcoming exit where I could stop and call the police. I realized that this crazy son of a gun might actually follow me, so gritting my teeth, I let them overtake me again, watching for the smallest sign they would try to kill me again. As soon as they were past the off-ramp, I hit my signal and GTFO. So now onto the revenge. I called the state police and was able to speak with the dispatcher, who seemed to take the report seriously. After I hung up, I felt better, but I had that feeling inside that justice was still wanting, so after I got home I looked up the name of the company I saw on the truck, and on a side, I have a Class A license, so I know that commercial drivers are held to a higher standard than private motorists, higher fines, less tolerance for effery. I also know that there's a federal agency responsible for regulating commercial vehicle operations, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or FMCSA. Screw up often enough or bad enough and they will take your license and/or shut down your entire company. I found the company on Google and to the surprise of absolutely no one, saw that other people had previously complained about their unprofessional drivers. I thought of leaving a review there, but realized that that would do nothing. I thought of emailing the company, but figured that since this didn't appear to be an isolated incident, that they were probably already aware and possibly even promoted a bottom line fly-by-night culture. I needed a way to put pressure on them too if I wanted anything to happen. I looked up the company on the FMCSA website and from there I was able to discover the company's insurance carrier. A plan formed in my mind. This idiot tried to end my life. I was going to make him pay the only way I could. I decided to use the law of crap rolling downhill to drop as much as I could on this guy. First, I drafted a report to submit via the FMCSA complaint website. I detailed everything about the incident, the time, the location, and the identification of the truck. I made sure to illustrate that this person had shown no regard for human life. After I submitted that official complaint, I wrote a similar letter to the company's insurance carrier. So then, thanks to the FMCSA company listing, I was even able to provide the policy number that they were carried under. I made sure to illustrate that this person was an untenable liability who had only created enormous risk to safety and property. I mentioned that I had already submitted a report to the governing agency as well as the police. Lastly, I wrote an email to the company, whose website was almost incomprehensibly cancerous, detailing the incident. I made sure to illustrate that their driver is a ticking time bomb that nearly lost their load, their tractor, and generally cost them a fortune. I mentioned that I'd reported the incident to the police, the FMCSA, and the insurance carrier, which I named so they knew that I was not just blowing smoke. Truth be told, I have no way of knowing for sure what will happen when the stadies, the FMCSA, and the insurance folks get to talking. However, I would put good money that this a-hole gets his pink slip at least. Maybe the company's premium will blow up, maybe their policy will get pulled, hell, if I'm lucky, maybe they will even go under. A guy can dream. And the last one is an awesome little story from r/petty revenge. It is titled, Don't Disrespect My Nurses. When I was 22 and a new paramedic, I worked at a service based in a small hospital. I tried to spend some of my time between calls in the ER, orthopedic clinic, or a day surgery, helping out and getting practice with my skills. I developed a good working relationship with the nurses who were 100% female. I tried to do the things like linen changes so they could have a break. I was also a reliable coffee delivery service with no delivery fee. They helped me by letting me practice my skills and teach me different things. Well, one day we had a patient who was in to have his cast removed. Apparently, he was a new resident to our country. I welcome immigrants, both of my parents immigrated. This gentleman, however, did not wholly embrace our cultural view on women's equality. I believe he grew up in a place where women's rights are trampled on by religion and laws. I don't support misogynistic beliefs, no matter how grounded they are in a culture, most especially when I'm not in that culture at present. Well, he made a big deal of not addressing nurses directly, only the doctor who was a man. He made demands for the doctor to remove his cast, which was not gonna happen. They get paid too much for that. He went on about having someone qualified, which was not an RN apparently. I assume he meant the qualification of having a cock. I have one of those. Grew it myself. It's nothing worth bragging about. I once considered getting it pierced, to be honest. It could use some decoration. Anyway, I ended up volunteering. I also had cut off tons of casts. It is that easy. If you can master crayons, you can cut off a cast. I entered his room and boldly claimed that I was here to remove his cast. His English was fluent enough so I could tell he was pleased to be addressed by a man, 22 barely counts by the way, and he let me begin. I was about a quarter in the way when he made some comments about being finally given someone qualified to do the task. Annoyed by his less than progressive attitude towards the wonderful nurses, I said without even looking up, I don't know what you mean. I drive an ambulance. This is my first time doing this. He made some noises of protest and voiced his fears, claiming I would hurt him. So I stopped and asked him, would you like me to go get a qualified woman to come do it? He apparently liked that idea even less and let me continue. I was dying with the effort not to grin. He had a palpable anxiety the whole time. The cast saw does not even cut skin, it tickles. And yeah guys, OP further said in the comments, the only things that he brags about are his balls of steel. He often gets asked, why does it sound like a couple of ship anchors clanging against each other every time you walk around? And yeah guys, I gotta say, I think I just became a fan of OP. What an amazing story. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you again tomorrow.